Professor Simrit Kaur?
Well, Professor Simrit Kaur is an academic and researcher at heart, an administrator by profession, and a learner in spirit. And what defines me, I think, I would put it as 5 P's. I am passionate about my work, I'm positive in nature, I'm a professional by heart, I'm proactive. And one thing which I believe is again with a P, it's not the position with which one should be judged, it's the action. So I take care of that as well. Leadership positions should be not taken as a position but as an action.
How do you recollect your LSR days, ma'am?
Extremely nostalgic and fond memories. 3 years spent there as a student of economics honors. I think the years were devoted with too much of sincerity and hard work. And most of the values of hard work were instilled by the teachers and the academic rigor. Principalship at that time was with Dr. Luthra, and some of the teachers who taught me micro, macro, statistics, I can still remember them so fondly. We had Miss Anjani Kochar as my economics teacher, Miss Neelam as my statistics teacher, remained in touch with them for a long time. And also during those days, studentship was all about no photocopiers over there, and we used to make notes. And the reading style was still the same. We did not have a single book, the so-called one book which often now are there. Several readings. And with no photocopies, we used to have carbon copies. And me and my friend along with me, we used to carbon copy for each other because there were so many readings. And at LSR, we did each reading with the same amount of sincerity. And what was the best part? Whosoever was making the reading, the carbon copy would remain with the person who had made those notes, and the real copy would go to the friend. So that was the beauty of our friendship that we have nurtured till date. And also what I remember was the days of the U Special. If you miss out on the 3:30 U Special, you have no other way to reaching home. There were no Ubers, there were no cars at that point of time. So U Special was our friend when it came to being transported to and from LSR to home.
Being a student, then as a faculty, then as a professor, then now as a principal, which role do you like the most, ma'am?
Wonderful. Ask your mother which is the child she likes the most. I think each stage, it's a part of a tree of life. Each part has its own significance, its own value. And if you have not gone through one phase, probably you'll never be a complete in the other phase. Through each of these phases, I think my contribution to my being a human being, what I am in my personal life and my professional life, my attitude towards my society, or to the generations that have to come across, they have all been nurtured across each of these phases. So I would say that they have been part as a branches of a tree, and the tree is complete only when all the branches are intact. I have loved each phase of my life.
Okay, ma'am. As a principal, which is the most difficult phase or situation you have ever come to?
I would like to talk about principalship in 3 domains. It's an academic leader, and academic institutions generally have to be judged on 3 pillars. The first pillar is my student, my faculty, and my researcher. And most of the students, it's 80 to 90% of this pillar consists actually of the students. The second would be my governance and my infrastructure. And when I talk about infrastructure, I'm talking about both the physical and the financial part of the infrastructure, and also the soft infrastructure. Highlighting the first pillar, what would be a challenge is today's students, the kind of dynamic environment which academics is, they are looking for the dynamic changes. Are we able to give them that kind of an environment? Are we able to meet the aspirations of the youth? So very important. Equally challenging is, are we able to meet the aspirations of the companies which are going to be there hiring you all? So those are the gaps which need to be fitted and bridged in. And the students, I think, are the best of the assets or the wealth that any institution can have, and we respect them. And our challenge always would be to remain in contact and communication with the student community to ensure that we don't let these gaps widen up, and we ensure bridging them up through any policy that we are drafting, converting the policy into an action at a later point of time, and also continuous communication with the student and other stakeholders. When I talk about the other pillars, I'm trying to work across with the infrastructure pillar because we are under the present system governed by rules which are not allowing me physical expansion. But I don't take it as a challenge. It's a gap and we are working on it. And I'm very sure that with the kind of active action, along with all the stakeholders, including my students, my faculty and my non-teaching, over time we would also come across and overcome this challenge of space that presently we are facing because of rules and regulations outside of the system.
What is the one fresh memory that makes you smile from time to time, ma'am?
I don't have to wait for memories to smile. Each time a student walks up, I'm coming across my students in the corridors, in the gardens, in my own room, in the classrooms. What better than seeing a student or a faculty or anybody associated with Sri Ram College of Commerce? I'm so delighted. And everybody at home, I think it's my own personal family, which I love, and I'm very blessed to be loved by them, along with my extended family where there is so much of support. I remain smiling most of my times.
Being these many years in teaching profession, how do you see the evolution and influence of education in the society, ma'am?
I think education has always played an immense role in contribution towards the society. How has it evolved? I would say the way in which we are coaching our students, on the way in which the students are interacting with the students has changed. Gone are the days when the typical classroom teaching used to be the chalk and talk kind of a thing. There was a blackboard and students would be listening. We are now more into participative learning, interactions where even learning from outside of the classroom is leading to education of the student. A multifaceted approach, and the best part is that nowadays the systems which were not there in the past, let's say 3 to 4 decades, are coming back. First of all, we are talking about sustainable development. It's the sustainable development towards your own self. So allow me to talk about 3 S's. Your sustainable self-development, it's your sustainability of society's development, and also sustainability of successions. I think this is the group today which is talking about climate change, energy efficiencies being brought about, and you are not just bothered about the existing generations but also equal opportunities to being given to the future of the generations, which I call as a third S, which is your succession story. So I'm very happy with the way in which the student community is taking forward their responsibility of becoming a responsible citizen, not just, as I mentioned, to the self or the society, but also to the generations.
SRCC gets its first ever women principal. How was the feeling, ma'am? How did you feel at that moment?
Frankly, I just became a principal. The public and the media quoted me as a woman. Leadership should not be about gender. That's my personal. It should be gender neutral. If you have the qualities and the abilities, the gender part is incidental. And I would also say that think of me as a principal. The women part of it is incidental. But that is not to say that women need not be empowered. It's very important that equality of opportunities across the life cycle of a woman needs to be nurtured, need to be strengthened. There are several areas where women are not getting an equal opportunity. But I think even though I take it as a transitional phase, the kind of work that we are doing towards empowering women, it's a matter of time. It will take years. It's not an easy task. We have to change the mindsets of female feticitis. We have to change the mindsets why my females are missing, why are they being unwanted children. In fact, if you look up the economic survey 2 years ago, they even colored it a pink, and Ministry of Finance with the pink economic survey was actually their tribute to the women. But I think any job where your leadership abilities are required, try to create opportunities which remain equal, and outcomes, let it be quality driven.
Being a daughter, wife, mother, mother-in-law and daughter-in-law in one hand, and the principal of this reputed institution on the other hand, have you been balancing both these ends, ma'am?
I think it's very important that a woman has to have a self-confidence and what she wants to become. Once you have clarity on these two, then you start working on how to create support systems. Without a support mechanism, it's very difficult to become a 24/7 kind of a person. Professionally, I respond to my students' queries at 2 a.m. Then there are sometimes emergencies at home. So what I'm saying is you have to first be confident of what is required. Another thing is you have to think of both your profession as your extended family and your own personal family as your family. Without love from a personal family and support from your extended family, it is going to be difficult. Even in my personal family, I remember situations where I had to go abroad and my son was probably only in class 5th at that time. I put in a tutor for him. And people said, चिराग तले अंधेरा देखो खुद प्रोफेसर है और बच्चे के लिए ट्यूशन लेकर आई है. I looked at it as a support mechanism. Why do I put an additional burden on somebody else to teach my style and while I'm away? And it was a long tenure I was away. I made my children empowered. Once the tuition part was over, I also created systems where I believed in efficiency and outcomes and effectiveness of an action rather than the time spent. And I remember very vividly with my 2 children, when my children would have left for school at around 7, I would prepare their to-do list. So there were about 20 questions on my son's table in mathematics and equal amount on my daughter's table, with 2 paragraphs of English, which I said right from the beginning they have to write. And the only condition was by the time I come home, which used to be about 6:30, this work would be done. And my children had to realize which was the best time. Their only thing was before mom drops in home, this work should be complete. And the result was that when my daughter was in class 12th, I did not have to sit with her for a board exams. At that time, for 5 months, I was away on an assignment which was given to me by the ministry. I was in another country teaching another system. So was I away with them? Yes, I was. Were they empowered enough to deal with the situation where mother was not there? I think it did happen. And without the love and support of your family, it's not possible. And at this point, on this podium, I say the unrequited love and support I got from my in-laws and my family has played an immense role. And when I come into this college, you all know I'm not a product or a student of Shri Ram College of Commerce. You just asked me the question, my LSR days. But the support that was generated by each one of the stakeholders at SRCC has made my journey so far a very beautiful journey.
We know about your success stories, ma'am. Tell us about your failures and rejections you have ever faced to reach this position.
Okay, I'll try to start off by sharing an experience which happened yesterday in the class. I was with my GBO students and randomly I entered and I said, okay, rate your happiness. Supposing the scale is a 1 on 10, because in my previous lecture we were talking about the Human Development Index, and from there the concept of happiness came in. And in my class, the first student I asked, he says, ma'am, it's a 5 on 10. Then there's a girl, she says, ma'am, mine is a 10 on 10. And there's another gentleman who says, ma'am, mine is a 9.5 on 10. So I'm getting these random numbers. And then I ask them, how have you defined happiness in your mind that you are able to rate yourself on your happiness? And then the student who said, ma'am, I'm a 9.5, I said, okay, you are now allowed the freedom to become happy. What is it that will bridge the gap of that 0.5? And then there are no answers because you don't know what actually is the truest definition of happiness. Similarly, I would say, how do you define a failure? Broadly, it's an outcome which is not as per your expectation. And that is the way I would think of a failure. But does the failure story end there? If the outcome is not as per your expectation, what are the learnings you've accumulated? And if the learnings are immense, you've been given an opportunity to learn, and these learnings make it a success. So your mindsets define what is a failure and a success. Remain positive, they will not be a failure. I think to conclude about what is a success or a failure, allow me to share a shloka which we had read and studied while we were still at school. It said, Tad bhavyam tad bhavti. You become what you believe. And therefore, I would urge my students to have firm belief in yourself. And you have only successes all across, because every failure contributes to your learning, which is a stepping stone to your success.
What is the secret behind your smile and positivity every time, ma'am?
I think I just mentioned the unrequited love from my personal family and the wonderful extended family. And I'm genuinely speaking, each time I see each one of you in the corridors, in the classrooms, in the gardens, studying or enjoying a cup of coffee, brings that smile in me. This is the youth. We rely on you a lot, and you are our assets. Thank you for bringing that smile on my face.
Eventually, what is your dream for SRCC, ma'am?
My dream for Shriram College of Commerce is what is the dream for anybody else. We have to make it the College of Global Choice. We have a vision, there is a mission, and what do? We have to attain this sustainable excellence through our teaching, through our research, and also by enriching not just the local and the national community, but also the international community. How do we do it? Through our students, through research, through the richness and skills of the alumni, and widespread publication all across of whatever we are doing. Dissemination of information of each modality we have taken up.